England is the base. English Muslims are the foundation of whatever's going to happen to overseas Muslims all over the world. The next couple of years is crucial, where you're going to bring more people together. And how are they going to stay together? They're going to stay if you're talking serious content there. You're holding serious discussion. You're holding serious lectures. You're having serious problems. Or you're trying to solve those serious problems. If you give me 20,000 kids in masjids, I'm going to make every one of them a billionaire, inshallah. I'll tell you this. This is how money works. This is how it works. This is how billionaires become billionaires because of the network. It's my first job to find out who's calling the shots in my own mind, my own brain. Most of the people are never going to know whose thought is it that they're following, how human beings behave as a group, that wherever in whichever surah you go through, Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to refer to a group behavior. And if you read the Quran, you see that this is a book of psychology, individual and group psychology. And it actually goes to the epitome of what human beings can actually achieve and they have achieved. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَالطُّورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. This is where the Quran says that, you know what, whenever we help you go up to the top of your knowledge structures, your understanding of the whole system, the universe, you just throw yourselves right down on the ground. Every single time I give it to you. You do it once, you do it twice, you're going to do it every single time. 5 minutes, you're going to picture the day of judgment, what people are doing, what's happening, how people are yelling and crying. And then in hell, inside hell, what's happening inside hell? And inside Jannah, what's happening inside Jannah? And I'm telling you this right now. You did this for less than 3 months. 5 minutes every day. Talk about it every evening or whenever you meet. This is going to become a global movement that very year, inshallah. We have forgotten the day of judgment. That's why we don't show up. We have forgotten hell. That's why we don't care. We forget Jannah, and that's why we try and find it here.
Yeah. Bismillah. Yeah.
Brother
Can you
Akil?
repeat your questions?
Yes.
Yes. Can I speak now?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum to all. So I have basically 2 or 3 questions. I've recently attended your London event and joined IMS UK. So what I want to ask is, what is the ultimate vision of IMS, and why is it important to focus on building a strong, um, unified global community of Muslims? And then the third question is a little bit different, not to not for IMS, it's something else.
Okay. So IMS is Islamic messaging system. It's the vision is very clear. We have to build a functioning network of all Muslims. Now, why should we have a network? Well, primarily, unless we come together, we're not going to be able to achieve anything. It doesn't really, take any kind of rocket science for me to actually present to you why we should be all together. Now, the Quran is very clear about how we should be functioning as a single unit. The Prophet ﷺ has given strict instructions to come together and perform as a single body. So I shouldn't be, giving you the sensical arguments of why people should come together and work, because that's the that's built innately in every single organism that Allah Azza wa Jalla sent to this planet, and I'm sure in other planets as well. They're functioning as single units. You see any and every species, they come together as a single family, hence the word family given to all those subspecies. We as human beings have this tendency to actually go towards this little element of greed and try and get whatever we can for our own selves and our kids. And so much so that we actually cross a lot of boundaries, and we tend to try and disrupt this harmony of human beings. And hence you see clusters, hence you see subclusters, hence you see groups, hence you see frictions between different kind of groups. Now, there could be many reasons behind this, but primarily the attribute that we are all, born with is also greed. Once a man named his son Haris in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and somebody asked the Prophet ﷺ whether this name was correct, and the Prophet ﷺ said, "Yeah, it's a very appropriate name because a human being is naturally greedy. So it's a pretty natural, innate, naturally, built-in attribute to ours within our system. Now, it can be used positively. We can harness this little greed towards getting human progress. People have done that. Human beings have been doing that ever since they came to this planet. However, if we transgress so much that we start to isolate that boundary, and instead of being greedy for the whole planet and the whole species, we start to draw lines in which Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Do not draw boundaries. Do not split into subgroups. Come under the Quran as a single body. Everyone, regardless of what your color and creed is, regardless of where you're born, regardless of what family you're in, come under the light of the Quran, under the umbrella of the Quran, become one body. The Prophet ﷺ said that my ummah is a single body. When one part of it is in pain, every part of the body suffers. So IMS is not, I mean, we do not have any complicated, you know, multivariate layer by layer, framework of vision statements coming together. We wanted to get everybody together. It's that simple. So what are we going to do when we come together? Well, that's a two-pronged approach right now. Why are we saying that there is an approach? Because we're actually thinking about the problems, not just right now, but problems who are people who are going to be coming in as our kids and grandkids. They're going to be facing. So we got to fix that little landscape for them, because somebody didn't do it for us, and now you see we have 57 different countries only for just Muslims, 190 plus countries functioning, 214, in total, for all the human beings. Human beings were not like this. We are born into this, so we think human beings behave the way they're behaving right now. Human beings never behaved like this. There were only, different areas of the planet, and people used to move around those areas based on whoever can give whatever to that area of people of that area. And that's how migrations used to happen. You'll be amazed as to how, different migratory trends and reasons of why people used to scatter around the planet, even in the, advanced times. I'm not talking about ancient history. So now since we were born into this little nation concept, we develop this sense of patriotism towards whatever boundary that we're born into, and we transgress the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. We transgress the boundaries by being patriot, by being a very good patriot of whatever country that we're born into. Now Muslims know anywhere you go. It's not like a new concept that I'm giving. Muslims in England, Muslims in America, Canada, they all know this word ummah. They know this word, harmony, unity. They know it. They know it's a basic tenet of Islam. However, knowing is not enough. We know that there are so many parallel philosophies that actually pollute the Islamic thought, and Indian Muslims and Pakistani Muslims, Bengali Muslims, Afghani Muslims, Iranians. So much so that inside Arabia, there's so many splits of the Arabian Muslims. So we know that the bigger problem is first and foremost how to get everybody together. Now, this is going to take a little bit of a toll from everyone, whoever is going to join IMS. However, that is why we're here on this planet. We're not here to actually enjoy any bits of whatever this planet has to offer. We have to actually fix it. So we are going to first and foremost get everybody together. Now, there's going to be a lot of work laid out right in front of you from IMS Global, which is structured so that any and every topic that you're going to read into, you're going to research, you're going to present, you're going to discuss, you're going to be a part of, whatever club that you're going to be part of. The foundation is very simple. That we're here to work on psychological concepts to get everybody together. And how does that work? We challenge the philosophies which are currently working to split people into different clusters. So that's the first prong, the intellectual warfare. The intellectual warfare is against all those philosophies so that our kids would understand why Islam, why this is philosophy, what is a philosophy, what kind of philosophies are prevalent at this age, in this point in time, in this part of the planet, and behaving by the dictation of some philosopher, maybe 100 years ago, maybe this year, maybe last year, maybe some book somewhere is calling the shots on some kind of policy that is politically and socially exerted upon me. Well, it's my first job to find out who's calling the shots in my own mind, my own brain. Most of the people are never going to know whose thought is it that they're following. Now, that's a primary job to actually get everybody out of the way. And I should be following the thought process of my own Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That is job one. So how does that work? Well, what is a philosophy? How do they work? What kind of philosophies are right now running around? How do they mix? How do they originate? How do they prevail? How do they disseminate? How do they withdraw? That's the job of everybody in IMS to start reading into, presenting, discussing with people, answering questions, making sure they're actually answering through correct and factual sources, and connecting everybody through the Quran. For that, you need to know the Quran. So if we are going to teach the Quran, everybody's going to teach the Quran. Everyone's going to teach the angle of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba right off the bat. Nobody else has no nobody can actually uh, come up with something which is going to create a parallel philosophy. You can come up with techniques, methodologies, but the stencil is the same. We only have one stencil, and that is our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. That's it. If you cannot prove it from the Sirah, you cannot prove it from the Hadith, you cannot prove it from the Quran, most of all, then you're coming up with something new. And we don't want any new philosophy. We want to go back to the original world order. We call it the original world order, which was laid down by Adam alayhi salam till Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All the prophets came with a singular philosophy. Allah Azza wa Jal does not change his mind. Okay. So we all know that. Inna dina inda Allah Islam. So we we know that, philosophy has been the same. Now, for that, we need to understand how to read, how to understand, how to construct these thought structures, which we are running right now in IMS. And not just that, we need to know how to communicate that to, everybody in the world. Now, it's the world, the word world is not that big. It only starts with you, your family, your kids, your friends, just like the Sira. You find your Khadija in your own home. You find your Ali in your own home. You find your Abu Bakr close to your home. And then you start off. You start off. This is how it works. And if you're not doing it, I know we all are what we're doing. I've been around the world, literally. I've been living around the world, working around the world. So I know what people are going to go into. And they're going to go into some other philosophy, no matter whether you're in Beijing or in Manila or in Miami or in Buenos Aires or in Chile or in Alaska or in Siberia or in England. Everyone's following a uh, a singular philosophy, which was written down by a couple of philosophers who were quarreling around about in the 1840s and one in 1890s. So they're just their books are just quarreling around, and we do not know that we are in under the influence of these couple of, or maybe more, depends on where you are, but primarily these two or three people. Now, uh, politically speaking, we understand how psychology works. Quran is very clear about how a single man behaves and how a group behaves. Quran is actually so clear with this topic of uh, how human beings behave as a group that wherever and whichever surah you go through, Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to refer to a group behavior. And these are not just stories of the people of the prophets. These are psychological manifestations of groups under different circumstances. And if you read the Quran, you see that this is a book of psychology, individual and group psychology. So much so that it starts from the beginning and it actually goes to the epitome of what human beings can actually achieve, and they have achieved. وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ وَالطُّورِ سِينِينَ وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ. This is where the Quran says that, you know what, whenever we help you go up to the top of your knowledge structures, your understanding of the whole system, the universe, you just throw yourselves right down on the ground. Every single time I give it to you. You do it once, you do it twice, you're gonna do it every single time. And the Prophet ﷺ then gives us a very clear eschatological, right to the last day of this planet, all the narration of what's going to happen. And we know that until Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam comes back, human beings are not going to come into a singular function. And so much so that what Tini was Zaytun is going to repeat itself. And when Isa ibn Maryam is going to go, human beings are going to make their subclusters right back like the way they want to. And Allah is going to lift the Quran. No more guidance because you just don't. You just take it for granted every single time. We show you the progress. We show you harmony. We show you global peace for the one and only time. We show you global peace, and you throw it away. So that's going to be the last straw. So until that day comes, till Mahdi alayhi salam comes, till Isa ibn Maryam alayhi salam comes, our job is to make sure that we perform the same job. It's very simple. Get everybody together. Now, how are they going to get together? Well, philosophically aligned, number one, and psychologically enabled, number two. That's the second prong. Psychological warfare. It is very clear. We're going to actually, if I do not have time to actually go through bits and pieces of what IMS is discussing right now, you have to go and check it yourself. Hopefully, our Android testing is just about done for our IMS app. Hopefully, IMS UK is going to start off aggregating people under that application so that people can come right inside some clubs. We have already made 4 prongs inside within the psychological warfare and intellectual warfare. Those 4 prongs are very clear. The 4 departments are given by the Quran. We are using the Quran. We are using the attributes of our Prophet ﷺ and all the prophets that Allah sent, and they're combined into our Prophet ﷺ. And Allah says that whatever happened from Adam ﷺ till Ibrahim, I'm going to give it to Muhammad bin Abdullah. Whatever happened between Ibrahim ﷺ and Musa ﷺ, I'm going to give it to Muhammad bin Abdullah. Whatever happened between Musa ﷺ and Isa ibn Maryam, I'm going to give it to Muhammad bin Abdullah. And whatever happens between Isa ibn Maryam, between him and Muhammad bin Abdullah, I'm going to give this to Muhammad bin Abdullah, and he's going to come up with all of these 4 combined in just one man. And what are those 4 things? What are those 4 techniques? What are those 4 elements and compartments of knowledge and technique and methodology? That's Yatlu alayhim ayat, how to decipher the whole universe and how to decipher the signs of Allah Azza how to decipher them, decode them, and present it to the planet so that they can actually get to Allah Azza and understand why Allah Azza's system has to be enforced and applied and maintained. Unless we understand Allah Azza you're not going to be able to forcefully, put people under your system or your argument, let alone your system, just a mere argument. So you're going to get your arguments based on your knowledge. All the prophets, alayhi salam, used to do Yatlu alayhim ayat until Ibrahim alayhi salam came. Of course, he continued the Yatlu alayhim ayat spree. Okay, every prophet does. They carry it forward. But before Ibrahim alayhi salam, there was no Yuzakihim. Okay, so that's the second element. Allah told the people till the day of judgment that I am sending you this man from within you, from amongst you, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who's going to do Yatlu alayhim ayat wa yuzakihim وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. So these 4 departments, يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتٍ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. These 4 things is what IMS is going to split into, these little fragments, so that we can actually try and put some specialization, some expertise of our people, our Muslim kids, girls and boys, inside masjids, inside their homes, inside the colleges, in the universities and schools. They should be understanding on the whole structure and geometry and the working of the system. When Allah uses the word system. He called it Deen. And whenever he makes us understand the system, he uses his own attribute of Al Malik. So when you understand uh, Al Malik and in Deen, you'll find out you'll yatlu alayhim ayat and yu'allimuhum al kitab. Okay. So you need to understand the moral uplift is yuzakihim, but the political uplift is yu'allimuhum al-kitab. Kitab means the law, obviously. And yatlu alayhim ayat. Ayat means the codes and the signs, which we have to follow. So what are we going to do? We're going to open mathematics. We're going to open physics. We're going to open biology, chemistry. We're going to open all the sciences to understand and decipher. However, we're not going to follow physics, biology, and mathematics. We're going to follow the Quran. And I'm going to give you more than 150 instances, literally 150 instances, where people, human Muslims, are working on and have worked on the last 1400 years of how the Quran actually sets precedents for all sciences which are going to follow. Obviously, as soon as we're going to find another exoplanet, or something's going to happen within the sun and the planet Earth, something's going to change, and we're going to discover a new source of energy. Something's going to happen, some meteor, something. We do not know what the other planet or some galaxy, some dwarf galaxy is going to, you know, come towards the Milky Way or within it, and something's going to change, and all of these laws of Newton and Einstein are going to render it useless. Something new is going to come up and just going to explain, which is going to explain what dark matter is, dark energy is. Something which is going to change the definitions of gravity, the workings of gravity, because we know that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us in the Quran that this is not a 3D planet or 3D universe you're living in. Okay, you read Surah Nur, you'll find out this is way beyond what human capacity can actually comprehend. Now, we know that the Quran actually, yeah, I'll give you an example. 1400 years ago, Abdullah bin Abbas, when he was given a question by the Sahaba, that what does Allah Azza wa Jal mean in Surah Takwir when he says, إِذَا shamsu كُوِّرَتْ, when the sun will be darkened. Now, you read the translation, you'll find out that whoever wrote the translation of the Quran, you'll find out yourself, don't worry. And I'm giving you a testimony of the Sahabi, the top Sahabi, Abdullah bin Abbas, radiallahu anhu. Now, the way he actually interprets this ayah, there's written testimonies. Okay, that's what Yatlu alayhim ayat students who are working on this. I need you to start with Abdullah bin Abbas and end with Ali bin Abi Talib. These are the two names. You're going to understand how they did Yatlu alayhim ayat under the tutelage of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you'll find out how amazing, how magnificent, how majestic, and how accurate their interpretations are of the Quran. So what Abdullah bin Abbas did, which is something which is magnificently strange, that he took the turban of that very guy who asked the question, said, "Give me your turban," and he opened the turban. And he started turning the turban, and he said, "This is how the sun will be darkened." Now, 1400 years ago, إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ, Abdullah bin Abbas is holding the turban, he's turning it around, just like we tie the turban. And now we know that any star that turns into a black hole, goes into a spiral, and you can see the tail. And this star is going into its own singularity, okay? And this star is the center of this spiral, just like turning the turban. Now, there is no telescope when Abdullah bin Abbas is telling us this. There is no concept of a black hole. There is no concept of singularity. There is no concept of how a star actually goes into its death. But this man, radiallahu anhu, is literally explaining not just the concept, but the way this concept actually happened inside space. My question is very simple. How did he do that? How did he do it so accurately? He's not a prophet. Okay. You need to understand. We cannot just put this little, magical wand in our minds and think that, Sahaba had this little na'udzubillah, magical powers. No, they didn't. They had knowledge. They had knowledge. You know how I know that? Because our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam actually prayed for Abdullah bin Abbas that may Allah give you the knowledge of the Quran. So much so that one day he stood on the pulpit and said, "Any question, I need you to ask me questions of the universe." The direct hadith, question of the universe, and I'm going to answer you from the Quran. So he is giving you the space science, the space program right there. Ali bin Abi Talib is giving you space program. When he says, when you read Surah Qamar, you're going to find out where the water came to flood the planet Earth at the time Noah. In the time of Noah. In the time of Noah, the flood came from a galaxy far, far away. Okay. We call it Majarra. We now call it Canis Majoris. Okay. So how does that work? How does this hadith of the Miraj work? All of these signs are given us so that we can follow these codes, we can follow the clues, and try and interpret the basis of the knowledge set. Okay, I'm just getting started. Okay, so when Abdullah bin Abbas is talking about the turning of the turban, singularity of the star, the Quran is actually talking about فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُومِ. بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُوم means the place. Oh, I swear upon the place where the star pierces the space time. This is the literal translation of the ayah. How do I know it is piercing? Because in Surah Tariq, Allah Azza wa Jal, the word Tariq, okay? The word Tariq, the root word, is how the meaning is making piercing into a way, making a path by piercing. So, how does a star pierce? Well, we know how a star pierces in space time. That is called singularity. That is a black hole. Now, I'm not trying to tell you what to follow science. I'm telling you that it is not a Muslim job to say, hey, we told you so after they do the hard work. Our job is to tell them where to go. Our job is so that whenever, whoever makes it to whatever galaxy or planet, they should be reciting the Quran. That Muslims are saying this down on our planet. Their kids were telling us this. We just didn't want to believe them because we were too biased. We were using our space technology, and now we need to follow the next horizon based on whatever their knowledge. But we you know what, we're just not giving anything. We're just waiting around for some science lab to come up with something, and we just have an "I told you so" banner that our Quran also says that. Well, why didn't we take the initiative if Quran is telling us everything and more? So I don't want you to follow physics or chemistry biology. I want you to set precedents. Take the initiative. That's what our Muslim job is. So in other words, if Muslims do not have a space program, they're not Muslims. They're not following the path of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They're not doing the Yatlu alayhi ayat. Coming into Yu'allimuhum al-Kitab direction. This is they can only be done. And you might have noticed I've skipped you Zakihim because Zakihim is the moral capital. If Muslims are not coming inside the masjid, Muslims are not praying, Muslims are not actually holding up the basis of the Sira, the pillars of the Quran, then I hope they do not go into knowledge because their knowledge is going to make them arrogant. We need to clean ourselves from all of that, those attributes that we're like, for example, arrogance and deceit and timidity, the timidness, sorry, this cowardice, this lack of consistency, this lack of resilience, this lack of trustworthiness. All of these, this is Yuzakihim. Now, I cannot lecture you into Tazkiyah. We cannot do that. We'll have to come up with training programs. I know that. We all know that. IMS is not going to be able to do the Tazkiyah by just holding group forums and clubs. There's a totally different program for that. It's called Hayya al-Falah. Okay, we're calling every Muslim in the masjid and connecting all the masjids together. That's a different program under IMS. However, what I need you to do is, and you, IMS UK, understand, I'm going to be presenting to you a lot of ideas and a lot of programs. They're going to be successful. Sometimes they're not going to be so successful. I need you to understand I'm working around this IMS concept so that you guys can get momentum. I'll have an easier way paved in front of you while you get there. But till you get there, you need to understand, you need to set the base right. And that base is these 4 compartments. Okay. Well, I'll get to Hikmah later because Hikmah is the methodology of how to operate, the modus operandi of how to make those decisions, what kind of decisions, what kind of technique to actually, get to wherever you need to be from wherever you are. Now, this is Hikmah, in my opinion, of how to actually get everybody together. Intellectual warfare, psychological warfare. That's simple. Now, what do I need for this? Well, I need your kids. I literally need your kids, especially who are 12 years of age and more. Okay. They're going to start these forums. They're going to actually jump into understanding books. They're going to put that book into some utility. And unless we start to challenge the current status quo of the education system, We're not going to be able to do that because physics today, mathematics today. While we're talking, I'm going to send you a book, actually, right after this meeting. This book is written by a Muslim scholar. It's called The Ultimate Mathematics. We're teaching that in our school, in Source Code Academy. And you need to understand how Muslims, when they look at the Muslim scholars who understand mathematics, these people are, capable of winning the Fields Medal. They're so good at mathematics. But when they're going to the Quran, they find out that, you know what, the mathematics of human beings uh, is not even close to what the Quranic mathematics, the structure of the Quran is based on. All of that is based on very advanced level of mathematics. Let me give you an example so that you will understand why you need to go through that book. That book is part of the curriculum of our kids who are actually literally a 7, 8 year old. That's, those are the students of source code. I need you to actually understand why IMS needs to take up not everybody can afford source code. So we need to spread it around. And source code students are going to, inshallah, become teachers of IMS. And that's what the purpose and vision of source code is, so that students become teachers. So when you look at the history of mathematics, and you can see, and you can Google it up and find out, and whoever knows mathematics knows what I'm talking about, that we recently came up with the concept of Gaussian prime. Now, Gaussian prime is as latest as human beings' intellect has gone into mathematics. Now, after we discovered Gaussian primes, we find out that Gaussian primes is the table on which the Quran is laid out. The Quran is laid out on the Gaussian primes. So just because now I know what Gaussian prime table is, now I can know what the next huruf muqatta'at after alif lam mim is going to be, because it is going to follow the Gaussian prime table. Now, the Quran is already set on the Gaussian prime. We just discovered it. The mathematicians just discovered it. I'm just giving you a drop out of the ocean, not even a drop out of the ocean, so that you guys can understand what kind of a treasure chest we had. And look what we did with this. Look what we did with the Quran. So unless we reach that sort of excellence, that sort of expertise and competence in the Quran and the Sirah, we won't be able to do yu'allimuhum al-kitab. Yu'allimuhum al-kitab is a natural psychological disposition. We aggregate under the system. We bow to the system of the person who's smarter than us. It is common sense. That's the working of serotonin. That's the prime chemical. Hierarchy of dominance. We're naturally going to be under the system of whoever is reaching for the stars, smarter from amongst us. So if you don't do yatlu alayhim, you're not going to be able to do yu'allimuhum al-kitab. You're not going to be able to enforce the law, because we only follow the law of the people who have higher brain power than us. That's just common sense. That's why our kids don't run away from our homes, because they know we're smarter than them, and we tell them not to run away. And as soon as they think they're smarter than us, they do run away. That's just common sense. Okay. So what we do is we take this psychology, we put that on our drawing boards. We have already done that. And we start preparing content for all of this, so that people can understand the working of how human beings behave, and they can gain knowledge, gain IQ, and start discussing with other people. And everybody comes inside the Quran. That's it. Quran is the epitome of our knowledge, epitome of our political system, epitome of our hikmah, epitome of our tazkiyah. There is no other way. So this is what IMS is. I hope everybody is very clear of what we're trying to do, why we're trying to do it, and how we're trying to do this. It is the most simple way of explaining to you guys that if you don't want to go through this, you're naturally going to go through the same things, but for some other book. You're naturally going to behave like this. Everyone naturally behaves like this. We're just telling you how they behave. The Quran is telling us how they behave. The Prophet is telling us how they behave. And the whole eschatology is telling us how we're going to behave. So we behave like this. We've been behaving like this from Adam al-Islam's firstborn till the lastborn. This is going to be the same graph. We just want to put the Quran right in the middle and make everybody behave around this, because they are going to behave the way they behave. If the Quran is not calling the shots on competence, expertise, knowledge structures, then no one's going to gain enough skill for the Quran, around the Quran, about the Quran, within the Quran. No one's going to do that. We're going to go to some other science, some other mathematics, some other space program, some other political program, some other in knowledge set, because those people will be deemed more credible than our kids 60 years from now, 100 years from now. It's that simple. I hope I broke it down for everybody to understand how simple things are. We just have a way of, you know, going towards something, thinking something is so, uh, you know, appealing just because it's complex. It's not complex. The hierarchy of dominance is going to play its part, and whenever, whatever physics or biology or mathematics is going to find with chemistry, chemistry is going to win. It's a human chemistry. And Allah was saying, you want to know, look upstairs in the heavens and look inside you. You're going to find the same thing. And then you're going to find out the Quran is the book of Haqq. That's the only and absolute truth. So what is up there and what is within me? I can give you 100 similarities between the galaxy, whatever the operation of the structures and the phenomena and the mechanism, and the same mechanism with us. And we haven't even, broken the first layer of how the brain works. I want our kids to understand how the brain works. I'm just telling you human behavior. That's not the brain, that's the mind. So you need to understand, we have not even scratched the surface as human beings. We need to go deep. We need to understand our book. We need to explore it and be so eloquent in presenting it to the planet. How are we going to do that? We're going to discuss every bits of it. And we're going to use any and every person of knowledge, be it a Muslim or not Muslim. And we're going to gain our IQ and make sure it translates to our kids. So hopefully in about 5 years, a little less, maybe more, I don't know, wallahu, we will be in IMS sponsoring our kids to go to Cambridge, go to Harvard, go to Yale, go to any and every part of the corner of the planet, wherever this knowledge is available, and come back, because we need to develop our kids. IMS is going to become a community very soon. If we can become a community, then we can sponsor any and every kind of program, not just the space program, but the human space program as well, the human capital program. So what we can actually do is start from us, my own self, my Khatija and my home, my Ali, go to my Abu Bakr, and then start moving towards the rest of the world. I hope I've clarified the vision. I hope I've given enough uh, understanding of what IMS is and what my expectation is. And this is just a plea so everybody can actually just empathize with your own kids. That's it. Nobody else, just your own kids. So that you can understand that unless we give our kids all of whatever we can, they're not going to go into the Quran. They've already started to move away from it because of whatever's happening on the internet. Everyone is so eloquent except the Muslims. Every product, every machinery, every technology, every piece of knowledge, every speaker is so eloquent except the Muslims. That's why our kids are running around trying to pose in front of us as our kids and our philosophy mates, but they're naturally going to go inside their own bedrooms, open YouTube, follow some guy who's going to seem more credible. Obviously, he's going to be way more than us because we're not opening our book. They are opening some book. Okay. So understand. I wish I could play you videos here of the smartest people in the world right now talking about the deeper problems. And I'll tell you, I swear to God, those are the problems solved by the Quran. The Quran is talking about the Sahabas used to present this to the planet. So unless we do it, I'm telling you, someone else will, and they're not going to do it for the Quran because human beings behave like this. That's the simple truth. That's how it's going to happen to my kids. And if your kids are not going to take the lead, then my kids, they're going to follow the lead of somebody else. If my kids are not going to take the lead, your kids are going to take follow the lead of somebody else. And that dude is not going to be a Muslim. I promise you this. He's not going to teach you the Quran, or he's not going to introduce our Prophet ﷺ to that guy. He's going to be introducing a lot of other prophets. They're not going to be sent by God. They're going to be prophets of, the current world order. And there are many. There are many. I tell you this. I know them. I know some of them. There are many. Okay. So it's time to divorce this is little clutter of whatever attempt and you know uh, uh, trials and experiments of what human beings are doing and go to the actual source of knowledge. Now is the time. Yes, sir. I hope everybody's clear.
Sister Sumera, can you unmute?
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Wa
Yes, we
alaikum
can.
assalam. Yes, I can hear you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Basically, I've joined IMS about a year ago, and I'm attending sessions on Sira and Muslim identity and some other tasks I've completed. I just want to ask, I just want to see, know your view of like IMS making a significant impact in the lives of Muslims, like globally. Like, do you think there are concrete objectives, or is there a timeline? Or what's the future of IMS like in terms of its impact globally?
I just answered this very question.
Sorry, sir,
And
sir, I just want to clarify on, like, because we are attending those, like, say, the sessions, like CETA sessions or IMS identity, but is there like a timeline? Like, are we just going to attend and then is there like a finish line, or are there like more courses or?
yeah, I'll be pouring in a lot more courses, but it's not my job to pour courses. It's everybody's job to start coming up with, because I gave you the four compartments. Now, these four compartments are inviting a lot of courses. Now, Sita is going to go through all of them, all these four compartments. Sita is the only wisdom that we have. Okay, after the Quran, obviously, but the Quran actually uh, is better understood if you understand Sita. So I do not know what you mean by timeline. So let's just say uh, your kids, if they're 10, before they turn 20, I better be reading a lot of articles or books written by them in whatever country I'm in, regardless of whatever country they're in. So I need to understand, uh, you need to understand that our vision is so our kids can actually start presenting and start becoming writers and start becoming thinkers and start becoming influencers. And they can only do that if they have a lot of people to influence. And our job at IMS is to give them the audience. Okay. Not everyone's going to perform at the same level, but the bare minimum anybody in IMS can do is to help people perform. Even if I cannot gain in knowledge from a certain book, I can help somebody else to do that, and he can become, the expert. So it's going to take some time to actually go into expertise. But right now, there are four levels of knowledge. We have to start with level one so that everybody can understand basic terminologies of the Quran. And these four compartments are inviting, natural sciences. And yu'allimuhum al-kitab is inviting social sciences. Yatlu alayhim ayat is inviting natural sciences. So you need to, start building up that. So uh, let me give you an example. The Quran is the written word of Allah Azza wa Jal, and Sumera, you and I in this universe is the spoken word of Allah Azza wa Jal. So these ayahs, you and me, are also ayahs of Allah Azza wa Jal. Okay, this universe is the ayah. So Quran is the written manual of how to operate this machine, and I am the spoken manual. Okay, you are indeed this whole planet and this whole galaxy, this universe is the spoken ayah. Okay, when Allah Azza wa Jalla said kun, okay, all this universe started to appear, and it became whatever it is based on the exact design of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla is trying to tell us to understand and decode. So when we go through steps of IMS, we go through steps of knowledge, nothing else. It's going to come within a shorter period of time where you're going to start some performers somewhere. But unless we are all consistent in getting these forums together, even if they're small forums, you're not going to find any performer. Okay, so again, let me give you an example. Harvard University or Ivy League. If Ivy League, as you can see the timeline, that as the longer an institute stays in operation with certain standards, maintaining certain standards, the more probability it is for it to push high performing, units in the world. So in the first tenure of this Ivy League, the whole of, I'm talking about whoever has made it to the Ivy League in the last 100 years, 50 years, you'll see that, initially they didn't really produce the performers, but after they got the rhythm in, after they became a brand and everybody came together, more population became, helped the probability to produce more performers. That's exactly what IMS is going to do. That's how new human beings behave. So there are more than 100,000 people in IMS, and very few in England. We're just going to start in England, and there are a lot of people in England, by the way. I mean, I'm just giving an example. Uh, there are 3 times I've taken Uber, and all 3 times I met Pakistanis who literally told me their IMS number and their community number. So there are people in England in IMS. So, and they're really excited about it because, everybody's becoming a learner right now. That's good. That's a great job. Everyone's supposed to be a learner. Someone is going to start to present and someone is going to start to uh, take the initiative. But as a learner, you need to be not just a listener. You need to be the auditor. For that, we're going to do critical thinking courses so that you can understand how to assess the speaker, how to assess any kind of content that's going to come your way. If you do not know how to think critically, you're going to have to listen to everybody, even if it's giving you wrong knowledge. You won't be able to understand it or assess it. So you need to be a critical thinker. For that, we're going to actually do a critical thinking course. I actually started that 6 months ago, critical thinking. That's the first time I actually spoke to IMS. Obviously, I'm on tour most of the time, but someone else is going to take up critical thinking. We're going to actually get a lot of other people who are professionals. As soon as IMS comes inside the app, you'll find out I'm going to be inviting, inshallah, professional speakers. I'll be paying them. I'll pay them to teach my Muslim kids of certain expertise. That's not a problem. Alhamdulillah, that's not a problem right now. And if it is a problem right now, if I have enough people coming together, these things are not even a problem. So the next couple of years is crucial, where you're going to bring more people together. And how are they going to stay together? They're going to stay if you're talking serious content there. You're holding serious discussion. You're holding serious lectures. You're having serious problems being or you're trying to solve those serious problems. Anyone who's trying to solve this problem for my kids, for you, and I'm talking about not just in natural sciences, but in social science, which means our own system that we live in. So, for example, LGBT is quite a thing right now. It's become quite a problem for every Muslim right now. Sex ed in English and Canadian and American systems has become so much of a problem that, and this gender identity problem, that unless you understand where the solution lies, how do human beings come up with these sort of, uh, crazies? So you're not going to be able to counter them. And that's why most Muslims are not countering any of these kind of problems politically. Forget Palestine or anything right now, because we can't even handle our social problems politically, and they can only be dealt with political, you know, uh, strength. And how are we going to generate political strength? We're going to have to learn. And how are we going to use it? We're going to have to learn it. This is not a 10-year, 20-year plan. However, it's not a 2-week plan as well. Okay, it's going to take a little bit.
Hamza Mujahid.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wow, like
Sir, as you know, we have started a social media initiative under IMS to spread English content related to you and our mission overall. So the purpose of
when
this
did you start?
initiative is, sorry,
When did you start that?
sir, 10 days ago, I met you in Middle Keynes and we discussed it. And after that, officially started 10 days ago.
Are you good at what you do?
Yes, sir.
Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, that's
It
nice.
was started almost,
So what you do is hear me out.
sorry, sir?
You hear me out, sir. Let me speak, please.
Yes.
So what you do is, if you're good at what you do, you train a very big draft of people of how you're going to create a very big team. Every one of your team member is going to have a single mission and vision. So you'd be scattering your work around people and you're going to crowdsource it. And once you're going to crowdsource it, even if you have 100 people, social media, you're going to have an army of social media, a big engine. And this big engine is going to perform way better than you or your couple of boys sitting in your office. So what you need is to understand, first and foremost, be honest to yourself, whether you're good at this or not. I'm assuming you are. That's why you said that. But I'm not going to just take your word for it. I'm going to have to see some numbers, right? So what you do is you get everybody to understand what you're trying to do. Present to the IMS UK that this is my plan. I'm an expert here. Try and understand why I'm telling you this and help me out here. Everyone's going to have a Twitter handle. Everyone's going to have a Facebook page. Everyone's going to have an Instagram page or all the social media handles. And you're going to actually give them different tasks and they're going to operate as your parts of the machine. Okay. Unless you crowdsource it to IMS, I don't know why you would wait for not crowdsourcing it to IMS. Okay. Anyone would do that. You know, different political regimes in the world do that. You got thousands of people in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh or wherever, in England as well. They can help you do that. However, I do not know where you're drawing the lines on only English because you need to, because English and Urdu don't really mix in a lot of levels. So you can get a lot of help from English locals who are in IMS and tell them, train them what to do and how to do it, and then you know, go crazy.
Sir, this was what I was about to tell you. I discussed it with Dr. Sahil and they approved it, and we're officially doing it with the help of IMS volunteers. I have trained more than 15 volunteers up till now, and they're going to train more
15
people.
or 50?
Yes, sir. 15, sir, right till
15.
now. Yes, sir.
It took you 10 days
And
to get 15 volunteers?
no, sir, we started editing all the videos and everything and to get the machine running. And we have people from of all ages, and not everyone has the experience. So we are training people even if they don't have any experience.
No,
So we just
see,
started
listen, the
from.
post-production team is obviously going to be smaller than the, the, the loaders. I know you
Yeah.
need a post-production team, but I'm not saying give it to thousands of people for editing or editorial purpose. That's that's not realistically possible. However, if okay, let me tell you, if I had 100,000 people who are going to post anything I write, I've got the biggest power in the planet, buddy. 100,000 people, whoever they're going to post whatever I write, they're going to repost, rehash it. I can actually change some presidents in some countries in the world. You need to understand if you're not using that or you don't understand because they don't need to have experience to load. They already have the experience to upload a reel or a hashtag, rehash a blog or a vlog, right? You need to have a
Yeah.
framework, train everybody, understand, give them the job, tell them what their job is. Okay. They're only going to do it for IMS. You're not going to be able to post your own products or services there. But
Mm,
you're not here for your own product or service. You're here for IMS anyway. So they're going to be jumping to do this for you. All they have to do is just get the content, repost it, right? I'm just telling you the lower end of the machine. You're talking about the higher end of the machine, which is the editorial work, shooting the video. I know that's not everybody's job. And even if it was, not everyone's going to put their time into it right now. Yeah, give it a year, maybe two. Everyone's going to become your editorial buddy. But right now, I know it's too soon. So what I need is a framework from you. And if you can give me a framework, then yeah, we can talk about how soon can we actually get this IMS UK running the shots on IMS Global. I
yes, sir.
believe that IMS UK can call the shots on IMS Global in America, in Indonesia, or Europe or Africa. I believe
Yes, sir.
that, but I, I
Sir,
I need a framework.
just last in just last 10 days, we have like uploaded more than 450 videos, and we have made more than 80 to 90 new accounts,
Hamza,
specially specified to this
Hamza,
purpose. Yes, sir.
Hamza. Let me ask you a question. How many people are in this Zoom meeting right now?
100.
So you posted 450 videos, and only 100 people showed up.
Yes. So because we are just created the new accounts and they're warming up, and it takes at least a month to get the machine running. So it's just a start, and we are working as much as we can on it. So
I'm not doubting that you're working very hard. I'm not doubting that. What I'm saying is that if 100 people show up, that's a marketing failure, buddy.
okay, so,
Yep.
I'll present my plan to you, and IMS you can then we can see what changes
Or
can be done.
as soon as possible, because we might have to change all of it because the plan failed. It's okay, you reinvent the wheel. It's all right. Don't worry. It's gonna take a lot of effort. I know, but most of the effort should go right here, not here. Okay, here. Yes.
Sister Fatima?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Sir, I have a question. Like, I'm from Bangladesh, but I live in Dallas. Uh, I'm a Canadian citizen as well. My question is, I understand the overall vision of IMS and all the plannings that it's doing, but I'm just not understanding, being a Muslim, but from a different country than Pakistan, what should be our contribution to IMS at this point?
Why does that country got to do with anything?
No,
They're
because
Muslim.
your plan is you are going to all the countries like Australia, UK, and all, doing this awakening mostly to combine the Pakistani people overseas, right? Is it like that, or
No,
maybe I'm
no,
getting
no,
it
no,
wrong?
no.
Maybe we all
Two
Muslims should
billion
be here.
people. 2 billion
Okay,
Muslims coming together.
okay. And so here is my second question: when you are planning for US, like your next tour, you finished Australia, UK, and then again back to UK, but then went for Canada and US.
Fatima, there are two reasons why I have to come to England a lot. There are 4 million Muslims in the tiny little country of England.
Yeah.
So I need to be in UK a lot more. Now, Fatima, you are a Bengali girl who is a Canadian citizen living in Dallas. Is that correct?
Yes.
Let me tell you my problem, Fatima. How old are you?
I'm pretty old. I'm 40.
Okay. We need to get rid of that little voice, which actually, disrupts
Can
your
you hear me now?
psychology.
Can you? Oh,
No,
okay.
no, I'm talking about your inner voice, which was giving you problem,
Okay.
telling you your age. Listen, you've been around the world, Fatima. I'm going to ask you a simple question. How many Muslims? How many Muslims in America?
Probably around 10 million. I'm not sure, but maybe in between 5 and 10 million, or maybe less than that. Maybe in between 3 and 7.
Fatima, and you don't know the answer. The best answer is, so I do not know the answer. Okay. So now the problem is that Muslims are not doing their homework, Fatima. That's the problem. Now, I'll be in America, inshallah, but you need to gather up the clusters and I'll be right there, right there. We have 27 programs already booked for America. I had only 16 booked in England and 27 in America. You need to understand, American Muslims are pretty, in the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
However, however, unless I comb Scandinavia and England, comb, and straighten everything out, you know, I can't just come to America because America, I know what I'm going to do for Americans, inshallah, inshallah. You know, uh, it's like coming home, it's like coming home. Uh, because I know what their demand is. They need, I mean, I'm going to ante up my game before I come to America because they need the next step. This is the base. England is the base. English Muslims are the foundation of whatever's going to happen to overseas Muslims all over the world, be it Arabian Muslims, African Muslims, South Asian Muslims, or anywhere else. So English Muslims are calling or should call the shots. However, uh, most of the initiatives which are taken by overseas Muslims are, not by English Muslims. And whoever they are, they are not natives of that country. So I need to solve that problem. It's a totally different discussion. I'm not going to take you from here to there. I'll be in America, Fatma. Answer your question simply. I'll be in what part? You're Dallas, right? You're in Dallas. Arrange a gathering good enough so that people, serious people, can come together, and I'll be in Dallas. That's not a problem.
Sir,
By the way,
so
Dallas is
here I have a question.
the doctor.
Sir, sorry, here I have a question because you talked about a gathering to arrange. So in that case, uh, like if we if like I'm in the area where I'm right now, it's very close to the mosque where the Yasir Qadi, Sheikh Yasir Qadi is the resident scholar. So in his mosque, a lot of events happen. So if we try to arrange something over there, uh, so how I should start, like with whom I should communicate from your team?
You can talk to Hassan Khilji. He's going to connect you with the Dallas Muslims who are already part of the IMS, and they're already working on arranging sessions. Don't worry.
Fatima Bhatti.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
So my question is more directed on the IMS UK functioning of the teams. So as the moderating part of the moderating team, one of the problems we are facing is not having enough people using their initiative in the session. So my question to you
Say
is,
that, I'm sorry.
do you have any
Not enough people using what?
their initiative in the session and actively contributing? It's still quite a low percentage compared to how many people have joined. So do you have any suggestions on how to make the sessions more engaging to help members use their initiative and become more active in the sessions that we uphold every week?
Well, my suggestion is just one. Unless you talk about the actual problem what people are facing, no one's going to come and listen to you. It is that simple. You need to know what they're suffering from. Because a cancer patient is going to read all the journals in the world about cancer. Okay. And unless you're talking about cancer, he's not going to come. So you need to understand you need to talk about real things and relevant things pertinent to your area. And unless you're going to open up topics which are pertinent to them and about their kids, they're not going to come. Secondly, you need to have people who can communicate. For example, I was talking to this boy that this is the topic of discussion, and because a tree falls in the forest, nothing happens, right? Because no one knows about this, and this is going to be a big loss that you are going to be having a very pertinent session, full of knowledge, giving probable solutions as well. However, no one knows about the fact that you're actually speaking next door. So even your own neighbor is not going to make it. So you need to have competent people marketing it properly. And it's all free. I don't know why people wouldn't show up, but sometimes a lot of people don't show up for free programs. Okay, that's also going to be a problem. However, we're not going to charge for anything, don't worry. You need to have a very strong social media team helping you out. And you are the social media team. Make sure you understand that. Someone's gonna do the technical work. All you gotta do is make sure you're functioning part of that social media team. If you're not a functioning part, then you are where the buck stops then. Okay. So you're gonna become a showstopper. You're gonna become a bottleneck at best. So know what the media team is trying to do and help them, guide them. Actually, your feedback is going to help them improve it because obviously whatever they're doing is not working. And a lot of people when they come together and brainstorm, you guys are local. I can't dictate how to actually market anything in England, right? I'm not English. You guys are. You know your ways around London or Manchester or Birmingham, right? You know what kind of events are going around in what season. I was in Southampton and we mistimed it because Southampton was playing Liverpool. That very day, I was supposed to speak in Southampton. No one's going to make it. And that calendar was locked a year ago. It's pre-season, and everybody knows when Liverpool is going to play Southampton. But the Southampton event was on that very evening. Couldn't even find a park in front of my own masjid. And it's pretty far from the football ground. Somebody mistimed, right? So if you, I mean, I went there. I mean, there were enough people, and there was a girl who did this. May Allah be pleased with her. A girl gathered everybody. She couldn't gather anyone with a sizable number, obviously, because Liverpool is playing Southampton football. Now, that's like that's like opening a restaurant on the first day of Ramadan for breakfast. You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody who's a non-Muslim opens a restaurant in the middle of Lahore on broad daylight in the middle of the day on first of Ramadan and says, no, nobody showed up. Well, obviously no one's going to show up. He mistimed it, right? So only a local is going to understand how to get that social media machine working. Because I'm telling you, it's not. I'm going to give you an example. In Pakistan, when IMS sessions hold up, we have to shut down the doors of physical vicinities. And that's not a free program a lot of times. We have to shut them out, refund money. Okay? Because IMS team in Pakistan, by the way, another girl running that team. They know how to build what kind of strings and where not to go, where to go, what time, where I have to do, where do I have to be at what weekday or what weekend or what part of the month is this? And so, go there. What do you think? I'm the most beloved man in the country. Wherever I go, thousands of people just walk in. No, it doesn't work like this. These things work with, a sense. So Fatima, you need to dictate your social media team. It's right there in this meeting that, how to actually run around your city and what kind of, appendages you're going to add into the framework that he's presenting. I would like to help. I would love to help, actually. But I need to see that framework before I like to try and improve it, right?
Yeah. Thank you very
Fatima,
much.
you understand what I'm saying, right? Listen, Fatima, I'm telling you, 4 million Muslims are more than anywhere in the world other than the Muslim countries, right? You know that, right, Fatima? What city are you in?
I'm in London.
Oh, there you go. Whoa, hold on. This is whoa, stop the show. Okay. Now, Fatima, more than anyone, okay? This sister who was in Dallas, she can't even imagine the kind of numbers running around London. Muslims, let alone, Desi Muslims. Everywhere. I mean, I have a lot more stops because people are just grabbing me in London than in Islamabad. There's so many, Indian Pakistanis here. And I'm thinking, if we cannot do it in London, we cannot do it in Manchester or Birmingham or give another city here, which is big enough. Milton Keynes, right? Or Leicester. Yeah, Leicester. That's the biggest Muslim, you know, by population area in England, hence the world. So, Sister Fatima, you were from Dallas. You don't even want to know. This is like a country of Muslims. England is a separate country. So if we cannot run this IMS UK numbers, pouring in, and then I don't know what to do. I do not know what to say. That means, uh, we have the right intent, right vision. We have the wrong people. That's the only way to actually understand it. You know what I'm saying, Fatma?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So you need to dictate a few things. Okay? You need to call a little more. You be a little more directive. Don't be just a spectator here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my biggest mistakes that I've made since joining. I haven't taken the action on certain initiatives that I wish to take. And I think after this discussion, I will definitely be doing that. Jazakallah.
And it's not a luxury. It's a necessity. I mean, that's just basic now. For IMS UK, I'll tell you this. I have been treated in England. I swear to God, I do not remember whether I'm in Pakistan or England, the way I've been treated in England. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like I'm from Toronto. I have never been treated like this in Toronto. It's my hometown, it's like, so-called. And if I'm walking around London or Birmingham or Manchester, it's as if I own the place, you know? I mean, you guys are so hospitable. You guys are so cozy. You guys really want to do this, but something is not clicking. That means the whole machinery is there, but you know what? The wires are just not connected. So it's not a lot of work. Everything else is done by Allah. You know, it's not by chance that all of these 4 million Muslims are hovering around London and Manchester, for God's sake. You just need to connect the dots just a little bit.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mohammed
Sahil bhai,
Mudassir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Sahil bhai, I want to ask you, I was doing some research and it is about that. So like people say, like our ulama also say that Hazrat Adam alayhi salam came like approximately 10,000 years before, at an approximate. But some of
Before
the
what?
fossils and all that we find, it shows like even this was even before that also. So in
Before?
this,
Oh, okay, I
before
got it.
10,000 years also. I mean, the human was on the face of the earth
So
long
what's
back
your
before that,
question?
according to
What's your
fossils.
question, sir? I'll answer the number of years, but what's your question?
Yeah, my question is that I saw in Al-Hijr, ayat number 26, Allah used the word insan in Arabic, that Allah created insan. Then after two verses, Allah Ta'ala says, and Allah created, the word uses in Arabic Bashr. That's not insan, insan. So these two words are different. So do you think insan and bashar is different? That Allah created insan first, and this is Allah Ta'ala created insan, that is the past tense. But when Allah Ta'ala says Allah Ta'ala will create bashar, that is in the future tense. So does it imply that Allah Ta'ala created insan first, then perfected it by putting the soul, and final form was the bashar, that was Adam alayhi salam? So this is my one question. Another question related to this one only is, what is the difference between the soul of humans and animals and plants and jinn, if they have soul? What is the difference between them? I know that in insan Allah Ta'ala put soul directly. And one question related to this one only. In this same verse, Allah Ta'ala says that human is created from like sounding soil, and the core of the sound is vibration. And we know now that all the subatomic particles and atoms and all, if you go deep into it, that's type of vibration. And when you were talking about in Surah Kahf, that Allah Ta'ala put zarb on the ear of the guys who were there inside the cave, there also you talk about the sound, and again the sound is vibration. So these all are linked together. So you think that the same vibration from the vibrating soil that Allah Ta'ala made the human, the same vibration Allah Ta'ala used, the same type of vibration Allah Ta'ala used in Surah Kahf also, when we talk about the zarb on the people who were sleeping there? So this is how I was able to put in front of you. So I want your view on this, all in all this.
Tell me when you're done, sir. Should I start the answer?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Okay. First of all, in your first question, there's an underlying assumption that Adam alayhi salam was made on this planet. He was not. Okay. For him to be picked out of or perfected out of the rest of the species, he would have to be on this planet. Okay. But he was not made on
Okay.
this planet. Okay. Otherwise, if I was to take your assumption, I'd have to make Adam alayhi salam from whatever species he was perfected out of, and then send him up into heavens, and then bring him back after he ate from the tree. Okay, that round trip has
Okay.
that's a very extraordinary leap, because Allah Azza wa Jal did not tell in the Quran that he picked Adam from planet Earth to heaven and then told him to go back.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I'm not telling that.
No, I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm saying there's an underlying assumption.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And that assumption is wrong. Now, what the number of years is could be 200,000 years ago that Adam and Islam came in. There's no way to find out how many years. Now, I'll tell you why I think it's way more than that, is because when we find the Sumerians were human beings. We find Mesopotamia, of course. When we find the Mayans, pretty old. We find the Asian Pacific, pretty old. Unless we look into the Easter Island, you know, monoliths and whatever structure that they have, we cannot find a time of the pre-human battle between the jinns and the angels. However, for the younger Dryas, that's 13,000 years ago, we can tell, and that could be one of them, because every 10,000 years, the glaciation happens. We're in the middle of the glaciation period, right? It's the two glaciations. So 13,000 years ago, the younger Dryas. Now that could be one of the warnings to Nuh alayhi salam that the water is about to come in. Could be. I do not know. I'm not saying it is. But the current dating in archaeology is way more than 10,000 years, actually way more than 20,000 years ago. Okay. I'll tell you something. Way more than 50,000 years ago. We're in America right now in America. And I'm not dating them. They are. So where are those civilizations from? And that's not Bashar or Insan. I'm talking about a very smart set of people. Okay. Very smart set of people. We're doing space programs, by the way. They're doing space programs. Okay. So they're under some prophet, alayhi salam. And that's maybe Idris, maybe Nuh, maybe, who knows? I cannot pick out a prophet, right? Because everybody advanced to something. In the Quran, it says, they've advanced to way more than you are right now, or wherever you are in the Quran. We know the advancement of the civilizations. So I'm going to give an example. The pyramids. Okay, about, let's just say 20 odd thousand years ago, pyramids. And I'm aware of why they're saying 2,500 years ago. And they're wrong. But let's just assume even they're right. The pyramids uh, around the planet stop being built suddenly. In other words, in one day, everybody stopped making the pyramids around the world. So Allah's wrath comes in, people get destroyed because of whatever they were doing with the technology. Now we know what they were doing, transgressing. In Surah Ghafir, Allah says, you have the force, use it. Come up to the heavens, and you'll find who is the Sultan. Allah is saying, not saying that you're not going to be able to come up. Allah says, use the force, come up, I'll show you who the king is. Okay. Now, we do not know what happened thousands and thousands of years ago to the civilization, but we know that something happened because now we've dug them up. So Adam and Islam is not 8,000 years ago. That's the Bible, my friend. That's not the Quran. The Bible. And that's not the Old Testament, the New Testament. Now that's the Bible you talk. 8,000 years ago, maybe 10. Some say 10, some say 8. Muslims never, ever put a word on paper about when Adam and Islam, how many years ago Adam and Islam came down. Okay. But they do say came down. To all of you, go down. All means 2 plus more is 3, right? 3. Adam al Islam, Hawa al Islam, and Iblis. Go down from this Aden, this heaven that I've actually put you in. Okay. So Adam al Islam, for him to come out of a species which most Muslims now believe because of the pressure of the philosophy, which is non-Muslim, and now Muslims are starting to come out. Muslim scholars are saying, hey, you know what? Yeah, Adam could have been evolved out of a species because Allah says, we picked him from them, a plural tense, that we chose him from them. That does not really mean from, the Neanderthals and the pre-Adam evolution-based, chimps and monkeys and whatever. No. That's not what Allah is saying. Allah could easily say, we picked it from the jinns and the angels and this human. We picked him from all the creations. And that's the plural tense. That's so easy to interpret. I don't know why we have to create a lot of chimpanzees before Adam alayhi salam and say, that's what Allah is saying. We picked him from them. Okay? Because if he was different from the chimpanzees, according to them, according to evolutionary, scientists, then he does not qualify to be a part of them because he's different, and hence he's not a Nauzubillah chimpanzee. He's a human being. Allah Azza wa Jal is going to use the same tense to pick a human being from the chimpanzees or human being from the angels or the jinns. Same word in Arabic. I don't know why we have to, introduce the chimps here. Because, Adam al-Islam is absolutely different. Absolutely different. According to the evolutionary biologists. The human being is there's a very slight difference, but it's such a big difference that a human being cannot be called a monkey from whatever angle that you're reading about, biology. We're not monkeys. I'm sorry. Now, even if I did come from a monkey, but I changed into a human being, 20 monkeys in the same room and me, they're not going to be like, hey, there are 20 odd monkeys there. No, there are 20 monkeys and a man. You know what I'm saying? So Adam al-Islam cannot be picked from a pre-Adam type species. No. Adam al-Islam can only be picked from either human beings, okay, or all the creation to have this qualification of the word them. Okay, this pronoun them is used in the ayah of the Quran. So, just to close the suture up this argument,
Sahil bhai,
there are 20 cats in a room and a sheep. You're not going to say, hey, you know what, pick out a sheep from them. Well, that would mean, there are more than a sheep there. There's either a cat. You pick out either a sheep or a cat. You're not going to say there's sheep in the room. No, there's just one sheep and 20 cats. Sorry, that's the correct way of actually understanding this. But if there are 21 cats, you can say, yeah, there are cats in the room. But even if there's a single sheep and 200 cats, you cannot say there are cats in the room. No, there are cats and a sheep. Okay? So this is how semantics work. And this is just basic. Your next question about sound. Yeah, there's a lot of correlations you can make about different ayahs and sound. That's a very long discussion. Go through Surah Kaf, go through sound, go through levitation, go through understanding Dawud alayhi salam. Dawud alayhi salam is the prophet who was given the gift of sound, and he was playing with the whole thing, and he would understand how to mantle and dismantle matter based on sound. Go through that. There's so much in the Quran about this. I forget your second question. So it's taking the whole session away from the IMS thing. So I'm trying to give you short answers. Yes. It's not taking anything away from IMS. It's taking us away from this agenda of the meeting today. It's just an intro meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Last question there, my dear.
Yep.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर। सर आपसे बात करने की अपॉर्चुनिटी तो मिलती नहीं है, तो इसलिए मैं आपको सबसे पहले तो मेंशन कर दूं कि मैंने आपको ईमेल की हुई है एक सोर्स कोड पे। कुछ दिन गुजर गए हैं, तो आप प्लीज चेक कर लीजिएगा। अर्जेंट नहीं है लेकिन इम्पोर्टेंट है। और आईएमएस के बारे में बात कर लेते हैं कि मैंने ज्वाइन की हुई थी स्टार्ट में आईएमएस यूके जो है। वैसे मैं आईएमएस पाकिस्तान में हूँ, तो यहाँ जो मुझे अभी जो आप लोग सॉरी
No, nobody said anything. Go on, please.
जी अभी जो आप लोग डिस्कस कर रहे थे ना कि लोग जो हैं वो इन्वॉल्व नहीं हो रहे हैं, जो मैंने कुछ दिन उसमें रह के देखा है ना, और मैं आपके ग्लासगो वाले सेशन में भी मेरा जाना हुआ था, वहाँ पे बात हुई थी मेरी जो वहाँ की थी खवातीन, तो वहाँ वो लोग भी यही बात कह रही थी, जो कि मेरा ख्याल था कि मतलब शी एक्चुअली सेड इट लाइक दैट कि दे डोंट नीड एनीवन, they are self-sufficient. The IMS UK people are self-sufficient. They don't need anyone. तो आम लोगों को मैंने ये देखा कि इन्वॉल्व करने की कोशिश सच नहीं की गई। मैंने मेंशन किया भी था कि लैंग्वेज बैरियर भी है, क्योंकि अगर आप देखें तो पाकिस्तान में तो 20s और 30s वाले लोग हैं ज्यादातर आईएमएस में, लेकिन आईएमएस यूके में आपने देखा होगा सेशन में भी ज्यादातर 30s 40s 50s ये लोग ज्यादा हैं। और जो मैंने देखा यहाँ पर, जैसे कि हमारा इलाका है बोल्टन, यहाँ पर काफी तो आबादी ऐसी है, काफी लोग तो ऐसे हैं जो कि यूरोप से बिल्कुल आए हुए, उन्हें टाइम ही ज्यादा नहीं हुआ। तो लैंग्वेज बैरियर मैंने देखा कि IMS यूके पे है, कि मुस्तकिल एक ही वो चल रहा होता है। अब ये अलग बात है कि आप लोगों का मकसद ही यही हो कि इंग्लिश कंटेंट बनाना है और इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग लोगों को, क्योंकि बच्चे ज्यादातर इंग्लिश बोलते हैं, तो उनको अप्रोच करना है, तो वो और बात है। लेकिन ये कि यही, इसी में मेरा ये भी क्वेश्चन है कि क्या बच्चों, सिर्फ बच्चों पर काम करना जो है वो काफी रहेगा, या ग्रास रूट लेवल पे यानी पेरेंट्स को इन्वॉल्व करना भी ज्यादा जरूरी है? जैसे मैं तजवीद पढ़ाती हूँ, मेरे पास बच्चे हैं 10-12 जैसे, उनमें माशाल्लाह मैं देखती हूँ कि बहुत टैलेंट है, और बहुत बहुत जैसे उनको सिखाओ जो चीज, सीरा सिखाओ या जो भी सिखाओ, या थिंकिंग पे उनको करो प्रॉम्प्ट, तो बहुत अच्छी आगे से आता है रिस्पॉन्स। छोटे बच्चे हैं 12 साल से नीचे। लेकिन ये कि उनका, उनके पेरेंट्स जो है वो तो वही सोच, वही वो सब कुछ है, तो वो उन बच्चों को क्या आगे जाने देंगे? और फिर मुझे लगता है कि इनको, इनके ऊपर सिर्फ काम करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है जब तक कि पेरेंट्स को इन्वॉल्व ना किया जाए। जैसे आपका जो मस्टर्स वाला प्रोजेक्ट है उसमें भी सिर्फ बच्चे इन्वॉल्व हैं, तो क्या वहां पे भी कोई ऐसा आप कर रहे हैं, और यहाँ IMS पे भी, कि जो पेरेंट्स हैं उन बच्चों के, उनको किस तरह ट्रेन किया जाएगा?
ना वर्कशॉप्स कर रहा हूँ मैं पूरे इंग्लैंड में पेरेंटिंग की, इंशाल्लाह। दैट्स द ओनली थिंग आई कैन डू। पब्लिक सेशन में पेरेंट्स ही आते हैं। दैट्स आल्सो समथिंग दैट आई एम डूइंग। I can do 100 public sessions. They're free. Just go there. Gather people for public sessions for parents only. I'll come there. जब तक मैं जिंदा हूँ इस्तेमाल करें मुझे। मैं मैं तो कह रहा हूँ पेरेंट्स को अलग से बुलाएं। You're right about this. मगर उर्दू कंटेंट में बच्चे नहीं आएंगे, आई गारंटी यू दैट। ओके, इंग्लैंड के इंग्लैंड के बच्चे नहीं आएंगे। और you're right, पेरेंट्स को अलग से बुलाना जरूरी है, इसमें कुछ शक नहीं।
Okay, so let's just take last question from Ms. Farhan.
Can you cancel my next session, please, Naveen?
Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Farhan.
Anybody?
Assalamu
Forget
alaikum.
Miss Paz.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. So she's here. She's here. She's here. Miss
Oh,
Paz here.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
My question is, during your UK tour, what city inspired you most in terms of their clarity of Islam, and what city disappointed you the most?
Nobody disappointed me because I didn't hold an argumentative session to actually understand what is. But I tell you, Scotland has been quite a confidence builder. Okay, especially the masjid communities there and people. I'll tell you. I'll give you an easier answer. Girls, women in England and Scotland are way more in the activism than boys. That's very ironic. Amazing. I mean, I love it, but there are always more boys outside. There should be a lot more activity there. But Scotland has been a lot more invigorating in terms of. Last time I went to Scotland as well, people had their guns out. They were just shooting questions, and they were not just asking for the sake of asking. They were putting me on the spot, which is awesome. In England, my first event in London was a game changer for me. That's where I got all the confidence from. That was in Rumsfield. I don't
Mayfield.
know what the name.
Mayfair
Bluefield.
Avenue.
No, the place is called Rumsfield or Rumford.
Romford. It's called
Rumford.
Chapel Heath.
Rumford.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a game changer for me. Everything else was downhill from there. It was so easy after that. Manchester session was amazing. And I'm not talking about more people showing up. Obviously, different cities have different kind of populations. Obviously, London's going to have more people, and Manchester is going to have more people. But I'm talking about the way people were interacting, the way they had. The intent and the energy, and it combines. You can see the whole phenomena right there. And London actually changed the game for me. And I have not been disappointed by. I mean, I don't look for uh, assessing people. It's not my job, nor is it my place. So, but I'll tell you this right now. Pakistan, in England, girls versus girls, apple to apple comparison. Girls are way more abreast of what's going on. Obviously, the English interface is global. In Pakistan, women are not aware of what's going on around the world. So it's very refreshing to know that, even if you're not performing right now, nobody is in the world, but you know where the fractures are, at least some of it. And boys in England are somehow, I don't know, it's just my opinion. Men in England are a lot more Pakistani inside Pakistan than people in Pakistan. It's not something I expect, but I don't know why they haven't left. They haven't taken off. Pakistan needs the English Muslim. Bangladesh needs the English Bengali. Pakistan needs the English Pakistani because of the exposure and the acumen. It's not just the pound or the dollar. I'm telling you, it is your IQ that we need. We're going to combine together. Money is not going to be a problem. Okay, I'll tell you this right now. This is how money works. People who've read economics, you should understand what I'm talking about. People who know statistics should know. If you give me 20,000 kids in masjids, I'm going to make every one of them a billionaire, inshallah. I'll tell you this. This is how money works. It's like there's a formula for it. It works out. This is how it works. This is how billionaires become billionaires because of the networks. So your kids are not going to be requiring jobs and, all of those cracks of just wasting their time and not going into books because, they need to make the money. They need to feed their family. But if they have a strong network, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know what I'm talking about. If you give me 20,000 kids around the world, in 5 years, all of them are millionaires, if not billionaires, right? Right off the bat. Okay. But if you give me 2 million people only in Pakistan, I cannot turn them into, I cannot turn the money chain, because Pakistan does not have the equity. We're talking about global Muslims, and we can actually pump a lot of money, and we should. Obviously, that's the case study, right? We should be pumping a lot of money in the Pakistani system so that we can call the shots. We should be calling the shots on who's going to run the system in Pakistan. That's the job. That's the core mission of IMS. It's, the first of many goals. That, the power corridors should be run by Muslims overseas. By the way, they are, but they're not just. There are overseas people who are running Pakistan. They're just not Muslims. They are run by English overseas. Who's going to become the chief of the army staff? Who's going to become the prime minister or the president? Who's going to become the next and the next? It's all run by 10 Downing Street. They're just not Muslim kids are doing it. I just want our Muslim kids to do it. Okay. That's the job. So, lobbies do that. Blockchains do that. People who come together, they do that. I just want our kids to come together and do that and more. Okay. In theory, if we have about 20,000 kids in masjids and they're learning how to become a single member of a single community in less than 10 years, you'll not just be picking up presidents and power houses. You'll be making them. Literally. You'll be setting presidents through your kids will be writing foreign policies, inshallah. I'm telling you, this is how it works. There are less than 1,000 Jews who've made the lobby. Everything else is run by their helping companies. This world is not run by countries. This world is run by companies. So whoever has the lobby, call the shots on the companies. Whoever calls the shots on the lobbies, call the shots on who's going to make it to the president. So this is how it works. And it's not a 200-year plan. Okay. It's a 30-year plan. 30-year means one generation. 7-year-old would become a 37-year-old. He's naturally going to prosper in his career. If he does it alone, he's going to have odd jobs to do that. He's going to make it, regardless of whether he has a network or not, but he's going to make it on his own. But if he has a network, he's got a whole community backing him up. He's going to do it in less than 10 years. He's going to have everybody. He's going to have everybody prospering from his career. Right now, the exact cycle is run in the exact opposite direction. Cycle is the same, running in the opposite direction. So everyone's trying to make it. Some people do, but no one makes it for the community, and hence nobody prospers. Only my wife and my kids are going to prosper from my career. That's how petty we've become. That is as petty as it gets, by the way. By the way, just a word to the wise to all Pakistanis, non-Muslims and Muslims combined have come together many a times in the past. Pakistanis have never come together. Word to the wise. Okay. Yes, sir. Last question.
Assalamu alaikum.
No, alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum. Sir, I am Maz. I work on research, Alama Iqbal, and many things I have read about you as well. Uh, I wanted to ask, I mean, there are so much, I'm one of the very extreme few researchers in Pakistan who believe in real research. And there are, all of our academic institutions are suffering from power politics, are suffering from power abuse, bullying. All the vice chancellors, we see they are worshipping money and status in Pakistan. And we also see in mosques on religious identities. I mean, there are elements of arrogance and jealousy. The question I want to ask, that all this work is so great, how can we? I recently also had a discussion with Professor Norman Finkelstein, and he talked about how can we transfer into activism, and you just mentioned about this, into activism. So IMS team, if some of the members can go to schedule meetings with vice chancellors and tell them that, hey, this is not the right approach, worshipping politicians, corrupt politicians, and all our universities are going through this process of, academic identity we are losing, this religious identity we are losing, this moral identity we are losing, this in our academic institutions. So IMS team members can, schedule this in universities, also in mosques. You can schedule these things to, ask them questions, that why is this happening and how to change these things, because all this information is available on social media. We can transfer it into activism and popular movements. Thank you, sir.
Correct. That's not the route I prefer, but yeah, that's correct. Whatever you said is correct. Not the route I would want IMS to take, because these VCs and these are business institutes. They they call it a business institute, whatever university you're talking about right now, other than the government-owned universities. So whatever government university, wherever we can actually route IMS members to hold debates and call out, real movements, it's going to happen from the campuses. And unless we activate the campuses of universities, schools are not going to follow. And this is probably the most, well, it's the most probable venue for activism. You're young, you're studying, you're under the influence of real books and real people are there. It's not on social media. People are there. So it can easily be done. They're already making clusters. They just make clusters for other reasons. But you can see on campuses, you can see real clusters. But they just don't come around Islam or the Quran or single purpose. They're always scattered around, fragmented into different things, mostly political. But some PTI people are going to do that. Some Jamiat people are going. You can see it so many times. The whole country was run because of the campuses for the last 70 years. They just had to dismantle it in the times of Musharraf. Before that, university campuses were calling the shots on what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Now they don't. So IMS can take over and fill that void and make people understand. But we're not in that number right now. We need to have those numbers. And it only comes when everybody brings in a couple of more people in the same meeting, in the same cluster, and makes them understand what the vision is. And it becomes a political movement. That's how simple it is. I'm telling you, I know a number. I know statistics. I know the law of induction. It's just basic. Okay. I know that number. As soon as I see that number on the IMS app, I'm going to start on different kind of module in that machine for the yu'allimuhum al-kitab. Right now, I don't even have, half of that number right now. And I don't even know what that number is going to translate into when the app is going to be launched and people are going to latch onto that app. That's when the real number is going to come in. And that's when we're going to run real programs there, right? And it's been a year and maybe more that I've been waiting for that app. And finally, I get to hear that this app is under the testing phase now. still can't give you a timeline on this. That's the kind of problem I'm facing right now. So as soon as that app comes in, we are going to have some clarity on when is the next step of yu'allimuhum al-kitab. Right now, yatlu alayhim ayat. Produce as many researches as we can on these sort of things, on this category. And kids should be talking about the, you know, these uh, structures in the Quran. That kind of knowledge set should be propagated every single, nook and cranny. That's what you say in England, right? So people would naturally come into believing us, whatever we're saying, understanding us. Yeah, unless you're talking about the Quran, you're talking about the space and talking about the sign of the universe, you're not that attractive, I'm telling you. People are naturally going to be attracted to our kids when they're going to be running mathematics and physics inside IMS and explaining to them. Research papers are going to be flying through. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, and some of the IMS members, obviously a few, they already are in the research for math. I'm going to share with you some books of people in Multan who've actually given me, their paperwork and their articles, and they've been published and they've been accredited, and they're mathematics professors now, and some students. So, I mean, this is going to happen, but who's going to read the paper for mathematics in IMS? Nobody. You know what? No one knows how to read papers of mathematics. So we need to train people into that. That's how IMS is gonna, that's how any change is done. But I'm not just talking about mathematics. All of this is gonna come in parallel. So you need the mass, but mass only follows the elite. You need to create the elite, the intellectual elite, right? For that, the Quran, serves the central purpose. Okay. I hope everybody is clear that it's going to take a little while. It's not going to take 10 decades or 2 decades. It's going to take half a decade, a little less, maybe more, but unless we put every day in, every day counts. I mean, why else are we here? I'll tell you a little exercise. I just gave my teen mentorship class. I hold a class in source code for only teenagers. So I was telling them that from now on, and I'm going to tell IMS to do that, everybody in IMS, whenever you wake up, and I hope you wake up before Fajr, but whenever you wake up, first 5 minutes, and you're going to start waking up before Fajr after this, okay? This activity has to be in every bits of IMS. When you wake up, you are going to spend 5 minutes, turn the stopwatch on, 5 minutes, not 4, not 4.5, not 6, not 5.5. 5 minutes, okay? There's a reason why I'm saying 5 minutes, because I know the withdrawal of the two chemicals when you wake up, the two primary chemicals in your brain. So I need them withdrawn. 5 minutes on the stopwatch. First thing you're going to do, you're going to spend 5 minutes thinking about the day of judgment, what's happening on the day of judgment. Imagine that. And inside hell, what's happening inside hell. And in Jannah, what's happening inside Jannah. 3 things. 5 minutes, everybody. And that's just step 1. I'll tell you what step 2 is. 5 minutes, 4K diagram should come inside your head. Imagine, whatever you want to imagine, just imagine. Obviously, you're going to imagine from the hadith and the Quran, right? Because we know what's happening there. So you'll have to read to get that high pixel in that diagram. Read the Quran, read the hadith. You'll find out what's happening on the day of judgment. 5 minutes, you're going to picture the day of judgment, what people are doing, what's happening, how people are yelling and crying and, I'm not going to go into that detail right now. And then in hell, inside hell, what's happening inside hell, and inside Jannah, what's happening inside Jannah, as detailed as you can, but no more than 5 minutes. Okay. No more than 5 minutes. Every morning, 5 minutes, you're going to put three things inside your head. And that's step 1. Step 2, in your IMS forums, one boy or a girl is going to stand up and he's going to tell us what he saw. Imagine, what do you imagine? And everyone's going to just do an A circle and talk about this just for 20 minutes. That's it. Okay. And everyone's going to listen to one new guy speak about it. Just 5 minutes. This is what I saw in the morning. Imagine. Next day, someone else is going to do that. Next day, someone else is going to do that. And I'm telling you this right now. You did this for less than 3 months. Less than 3 months. 5 minutes every day. Talk about it every evening or whenever you meet. This is going to become a global movement that very year, inshallah. But you cannot miss out on a day of this activity. Now ask me, if you ask me, I'll tell you why 5 minutes, why these three things, and where am I getting this from? Where did I come up with this theory? How do I know it's going to work? That's the power of the Quran. That's the technique of the Quran. That's the technique of my Rabb Allah Azza wa Jal, who trained every human being in the day of Arabia when the Quran was coming down. And every Sahabi used to do that because Allah was making them do that. We have forgotten the day of judgment. That's why we don't show up. We have forgotten hell. That's why we don't care. We forget Jannah, and that's why we try and find it here. So as soon as you're gonna envision akhirah, okay, and I'm not gonna tell you the whole formula or the whole science behind this. I'm just gonna give you as basic as you want it. That if you do not have akhirah in front of you, okay, and if you do not do this activity, IMS is not going anywhere. But if you do this activity, IMS is just the beginning. You are going to take over the world. I promise you this, because this is the Quran testifying. That's how the Quran changed the world. For the first 8 years, Aisha bint Abi Bakr, radiallahu anha, she says, for the 8 years, the Quran only spoke about akhirah. No law, no rule, no legislation, no nothing, except only the day of judgment. The day of judgment. Jahannam, Jannah, day of judgment, only akhirah. 8 years, only akhirah. When the whole Arab was trained, every single instruction came down, everybody jumped in to follow without a miss. Without a miss. We do not perform in Islam because we do not envision akhirah. We just talk about it sometime, once a year, twice a year. We do not envision, we do not imagine it, we do not see it. So every morning, 5 minutes, because if you're not going to do it for 5, you're going to quit doing it. If you're going to do it for less, it's not going to have impact. And if you're going to do it for more, it's not going to have impact because you're going to quit doing it. But those 5 minutes, nobody can talk to you. No one. 5 minutes only, one day, every day. 24 hours, just 5 minutes for akhirah. When you wake up. And there's going to come a time where you won't even need a stopwatch. You won't need a reminder. You're going to wake up and you're going to see yourself in the day of judgment. Less than 3 months. You're going to wake up, you're going to see either hell or heaven. Every single morning. That's how the brain works. But you got to put your time in. Just 3 months. And I'm only asking for 5 minutes. And to make sure it happens, you talk about it in the evening in IMS meetings. If you do this, you'll see. You'll see. The formula is simple. It's called the Quran. The formula is simple. It's going to work, inshallah. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. And thank you for your
I have
patience.
a small question. So can I ask first is about upcoming parenting workshop. So it's going to be the previous workshop, like a few weeks ago, it was mostly on little kids, like under 7, 6. So can you just give us outline of the age group we are going to cover in this workshop, especially because for the mosque project we have to work on. You need kids like 9, 10, or like
15 to
teenagers.
25.
So
15 to 25.
15 to 25. Okay. So can we have this workshop more on this age group just to prepare them?
No, it's not going to be more of this age group, but this time we're going to include the teenagers.
Teenagers as
Psychology.
well.
Psychology.
Okay.
Technique is
Psychology, yeah.
say, listen, parenting is not for teenagers. You need to understand that. Parenting is for
Yeah.
under 12. But I'm going to include teenage psychology this time around because so many people have asked for it. Otherwise, you do not parent a 20-year-old. You need to understand. An 18-year-old does not need a parent. You cannot, even if you want to, you cannot parent a 16-year-old. Okay. He's a functioning
Yeah.
adult. Okay. He can be a parent, if it were any other time. Sometimes he should be.
Yeah. Okay. So the other question is you can explain the project Yatlualihim Ayatihi. Sir, can you explain the methodology of research? Like how can we find these tafasir? Furqan Qureshi, he says he has gone through 44 tafasir, but where can we get those deep knowledge and tafasir? Where can we get those tafasir? To even for one ayah, it's such deep research. Is there any
I
search
know.
engines or
I'll tell you. Listen, getting some questions on WhatsApp as well, Mary. So let me answer that. Yatlu alayhim ayat is given by the Quran of how to do that. It's not my opinion, okay? Let me tell you a little formula, little rule of thumb, okay? The rule of thumb is also given by the Prophet. Because there's nothing is my opinion. On the last sermon, Allah's Prophet ﷺ stood on the pulpit on the day of Hajj, when he performed the Hajj, the Hajjatul Wada. He had everybody there. Because everybody had to come in. That's the Hajj. And that's his last sermon to everybody. So he said, "O people, do you testify that I have given you all of the message?" Listen to the words of the Prophet. All of the message. Have I conveyed it to you? The people said, "Yeah, we testify, O Muhammad, that you have conveyed all the message. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum." Today, this whole message is complete. Now, then the Prophet says something which is going to not let you sleep from here on. Read the full hadith. I don't know why they didn't give us the full. It's written there. I'm not trying to rephrase it or reinterpret. It's right there. It's the simplest hadith. The Prophet said something right after that. Read it up, Google it up, find out. The Prophet said, "I've given you the message now. Spread around the world. From people and then other people. Okay, people and in turn, the next one. Go, spread around the world. Because they, who you are going to give this message to, are going to understand my message better than you." When I read this hadith, everything changed in my life. That's called cognitive dissonance. My mind shattered like a glass thrown on the floor. And I remember that day when I first read this hadith. I was a teenager at that time. I looked up to my teacher and I said, "Is there any other way to interpret this Arabic?" He's an Arab. He said, "No." And I said, "But that means," and he stopped me and said, "I know what that means, buddy. Are you up for it?" And I looked at it and I was like, "I have a million questions." He said, "No, I'm not going to give you any answer. You better get the answer." Now, I do not remember what your name was. Aisha? Sister, what's your name? Okay, doesn't matter what your name is. Understand, whoever is listening to me right now, and whoever is going to listen to this video, this is what the Prophet said. Have I given you the message? Now go to every part of the world, and they are going to get this message better than you. They're going to understand this message way better than you. Or people who have been with me all the time, give it to the people who've never seen me. They are going to understand this message better than you can. Now, there's only one way to understand this. Well, Allah, that those people are going to be running to their own knowledge structures, trying to understand, because every man is made curious. Without the Quran, you know, People have actually gone through whatever they're doing, whatever mathematics or science they've been actually trying to experiment with. Not just right now, from the last many hundred years. So when they can get the message, they will know that whatever, mental pyramids that they've made, whatever technology, once they're going to understand the Quran, they're going to receive it in the Hadith. They'll literally say that this is exactly what we were looking for. Now we have the final piece of the puzzle. Now we understand the actual meaning of the universe. They will understand it way better than us. You need to understand what Yatlu alayhim ayat means. Okay? That's why only a few chosen ones, trained especially by the Prophet, interpreted the Quran so beautifully, so vividly, that we still can't wrap our heads around those ahadiths of those sahabas. And keep throwing, oh, this is right. You can't even understand it. This cannot be possible. One time, the same sahabi, Abdullah bin Abbas, stood on the pulpit and said, if I tell you the meaning of this ayah, yatlu alayhim ayah. Okay. If this ayah, the last ayah of Surah Talaq, he was doing yatlu alayhim ayat. He said, if I tell you the meaning, because you keep badgering me for it, if I tell you the meaning of that, you will become kafirs. You will say, we don't believe this. We can't believe this. And you will become kafir because this is the ayah of the Quran. What was that ayah for? That was about space. That was about multiple universes. Now you know why the Prophet said they will not be able to understand and someone else will? Who is that someone else? I need that someone else to be my kids or your kids. Not some Thomas or Peter or Samantha walking around. And then you know what? I don't blame them. They're doing the best thing they can. They've opened their labs. They're humble enough to say, yeah, you know what? We don't know everything, but we're going to try. We have quit trying as Muslims. So it's easy to say that, you know what, we're Muslim, we're going to make it. No, we're not going to make it unless we do whatever the Prophet told us to do. Unless, I don't know whether they're going to make it or not. But we know that the Quran is telling us that we're not going to make it. So again, coming back, visualize the day of judgment every morning. Okay. So another thing about homeschooling that the question keeps popping up, I'll tell you this right now. We, inshallah, come January, hopefully we'll be introducing our faculty for only English Muslims who are homeschooling right now, or whoever want to go into homeschooling, so that we can actually give them that package wherever all of the subjects, so that whatever they're studying in England, we can put the same curriculum spin that we put on our source code students of mathematics and physics and natural sciences. Obviously, English curriculum has English system has more subject lines. We're going to include all of that. Hopefully, I'm already working on insourcing the faculty for it. It's going to be an international faculty, obviously, but we would prefer that if teachers who want, who have that sense, so we can actually run this kind of curriculum, connect us with them, because we're going to have to hire them anyway. So for all those homeschoolers in England, inshallah, we will be furnishing you a solution very soon, so that you can get the Islamic foundation course, the Arabic course, and the Sira course, and the STEM fields, and your literature, which is, of course, the STEM and literature is already in your curriculum. So you can get the perfect solution, inshallah, for your kids. Coming in January and February, we are going to start the spring session for the 5-year program, which is obviously going to cover your IGCSE. 5 years starting from the 7th year of age. And in 5 years, we're going to have to prepare them for way more than your graduation level of STEM fields and literature. I'm not talking about literature as a whole. I'm talking about those streams that, that you have for your certification, so that your kids can get certified whenever they want to. And they could be calling the shots on knowledge sets, rather than following this little herd of education system and putting 16 years before they graduate. They can do the same thing in 5. Okay. So But we have to introduce our Islamic courses because we have now a faculty. Our course, the Islamic Foundation course, is a game changer for even us. We've got the right scholars to come together to teach Muslims the Quran, how to do research in the Quran, and how to research in the Hadith. Obviously, for that research course, we need a basic foundation course. We're giving that to the homeschooling community in England as part of the deal, so that they shouldn't be wandering around where to get the Islamic mental culture set. Uh, this is a question, so I'm answering this. Any other question about homeschooling, please, we'll do a separate session for that. But after going through Scotland to all over England, both of these countries, the one thing that was common, everybody was asking for homeschooling solutions. So we already had that. We just didn't kick it off because, we take it one step at a time. But after the success of the mathematics curriculum, alhamdulillah, now we can actually launch all the STEM fields with, including computer sciences, obviously. So hopefully this can answer just about every question. Eddie, anything else that you want me to talk about before I? Eddie?
Thank you so much, sir. People want to talk about the masjid project and the strategy that you will be using to what curriculum are you going to give to the masajid?
That's a different skill set: entrepreneurial skill, networking skill, and obviously financial skills. These are the three things that are at the core of the Hayal Al Falah project. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Did I lose the feed? Can you see me?
No, we cannot see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I think I may only have 20 seconds before I finish this. I'm about to go into shutdown. Okay, the system. That's how.
Okay.
So we'll release the curriculum, not on IMS though, but for Hayal Al Falah groups. But we can release it to IMS as well. Doesn't matter.
Sure, sir. We'll be waiting for that.
Yeah. It's a full blown curriculum. Designed on 3 hours or no, sorry, 6 hours a week, which means Saturday and Sunday only. But if you can actually get a roster made for 5 days a week, well, we can do it in less than 3 years.
Mm. Okay,
3 hours
that
in one
curriculum.
day, 3 hours in the second day, Friday and Saturday. The curriculum is for skill sets, a training curriculum. It's not an education curriculum. I'm not going to be giving them tuition on their school subjects. This is a Hayal Al Falah is a project to bring people together and make them skillful, so that it's a project-based training system. I'll give you the curriculum. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. Lots of things have been cleared, and inshallah, we'll be working towards the projects that you have mentioned. Thank you.
Inshallah. May God be with you. Allah Ta'ala make sure everybody understands the vision. This is not for anyone or anything. This is just for Islam. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. Jazakallahu khairan kaseera.